So today I will be presenting the topic of my presentation is knowledge and belief and the delineation between it, and it's mainly based on Hamlyn's views and Hamlyn's summarization of the concept. And so it is taken mainly my references from problems in epistemology by Hamlyn 1930. So yeah, I basically structured my presentation. Around Hamlin's argument. So I have the structure of the presentation is based on how Hamlin explains the concept. So knowledge and belief. It is one of the central concerns of the human condition. Of whether what the mind entails is whether just plain belief or whether it is knowledge, and it is something that is almost like a daily endeavor for the human mind to delineate between knowledge and belief, and it's something that we all face in our daily lives, in our daily interaction, and in our daily dynamic between the self and the world. And thus, perhaps and therefore it is especially interesting even in our own daily application to look at what epistemology has to say about it. And perhaps that could even give us our own insight into dealing with knowledge and belief in the immediacy of our personal lives as well. Okay, so the central concept is the relationship between knowledge and belief, right? So traditionally it has been, knowledge has been defined as justified through belief. And here in this presentation we'll be looking at its sufficiency. We'll be looking at to what extent this statement is correct, to what extent it is it has gaps. So it argues that basically the argument is that knowledge is not psychological, but it's a logical relation to truth. That is one of the crux from which we can delineate knowledge and belief, because the two are very, very much interlinked, as we will see in the coming slides. And so the justified to belief model, and the justified to belief model was first presented by Plato in his work, Paedages. So to know that P, and the logical argument goes like this. And it's the most simple and straightforward definition of knowledge. So to know that P, one must believe P, right? And this, and so this is the primary relation between belief and knowledge, right? Because to know something, what does it mean to know something on a personal level? At least the first condition is that you should believe it. You should believe it to be the case. Okay? And then secondly, it should be the case. It should be true. So that is the truth aspect of it, right? And then one must be justified in believing P. And that is the traditional idea of what knowledge is. Justification. Okay, you must have some kind of justification. So it seems like from at the prima facie, it seems like a decent idea. Seems like a decent conception of what knowledge is. But there are some problems in this. So the three conditions are conceptually linked. He says that this is not like a formula where knowledge is equal to belief plus truth plus justification, and you can just bring these three elements together and you get knowledge. But no, these are very intricately linked with each other, and very much end-to-end, and what we have to do is we need to separate the threads to have a clear picture. Okay, so firstly we have to examine belief. So belief, what is belief? Belief is like a psychological disposition to take something as true, to think of something as knowledge. At least from our present state of awareness, from whatever we have, whatever we have at the moment. So it is like a commitment to a certain worldview. It's a commitment to taking, to viewing the world in such a way, right? And it may not always be it is a disposition. That is another case. It may not always be, verbalizable or always right there in our awareness. It could be like in the background of the mind as well. See, you may pretend to be something. You may pretend to be an atheist. You may be in debates, in forums, you may be coming up to vehemently bash the idea of these beliefs or whatever. But sometimes at the time of perhaps when you're on the road and you a lorry just comes straight at you, at that moment you might call the God that you might call upon the God that your community taught you to call. So it's something like a disposition that lies in the background of the mind. It is and it could also be, of course, it could be in the field of awareness as well. It could be directly in your cognition, that you could be aware that you believe this, but it can also be piled up in the back. So there are two elements to it. Subjective. The subjective element, that is the belief, as a substance, as a psychological substance, as a psychological element, and then the proposition. So it is directed. It is a belief to something that leads towards a proposition of how the world is. It tries to reach towards a truth claim. It tries to reach towards a truth. So one part of the belief is internal, and another is external. It tries to reach out to something in the real world. So beliefs are fallible, as shown in behavior. And of course, beliefs are not perfect. The human minds are like storehouses of a whole lot of erratic beliefs. So how do we filter out truth from it? Let's see. Okay, so we look at the conditions of knowledge. So truth, okay, knowledge is supposed to be factual. It has to correspond with a particular reality. It has to correspond with a particular fact that lies out there in whatever reality is. It has to linguistically or whether mathematically, it has to reach out and connect. So I know P, but P is in truth. And so what is truth? In between this, truth is the link. Truth is the bridge that gaps our linguistic understandings, our dispositions in the mind, beliefs to reality, to fact. So truth is the gap that bridges, that connects. Truth is not the gap. Truth is the bridge that connects the gap. That is the concept of truth. So knowledge is factual. So you cannot. It can't be the case. At least conceptually, your knowledge must be true. So, or else you just bring up a contradictory statement. Then you are still talking about belief. Right? So belief is necessary. Okay, and belief is necessary. Like we have already said, to possess knowledge, you must believe something to be the case. You must possess. Okay, if P is true, you must believe in P, right? So it's about the psychological. It's about the inner aspect versus the logical. So what do you mean by logical? It means something that can be verified. We'll come upon it just after looking at the problem of justification. Here Hamlyn really brings out his sharpest criticism from the JTB concept, justified to believe. So justification is the idea. Okay, and he says that it concerns the grounds of belief, but it is not directly linked with knowledge. Because to believe something, the human mind, the structure or the nature of the mind is such a way that to believe something, you will come up with a rational justification for it. We are rational animals. I think life itself is kind of a rational entity. It's a personal opinion. Okay, but see, to have some belief, to take something to be the case, whatever, however strange your justification may be, you will need a justification. Without that, you cannot believe in things. Right? Even in people who believe in God, though they are very well versed in the ways of science, they must have some kind of logical justification to believe in God. For example, there is a very common argument that Dawkins faces in the God delusion. That is some people say that I'll still believe in God because I don't want to risk it. Maybe if there is an afterlife, I could get by. Even if there is the evidence to the non-existence of God is very vast compared to the biblical or Quranic accounts of a God, the Abrahamic God, you could want to believe in it because what if, right? That is fair, I feel. So there is always going to be justifications, but then why does he say that it just concerns the ground of belief, but not knowledge? Because if you are justified in believing something, it must be knowledge, right? Because you have some justification. Here comes the Gettier problem. That is, I think Gettier presented this argument that our justifications don't have a direct grasp of the truth. They could be right by virtue of luck. There are examples where people can be perfectly justified in believing something, but still be wrong about it, because there are always wild cards in the human interaction with reality. Because the idea of reality and whatever lies, reality is kind of limitless, and our cognition is very limited. Right? So our justifications will be based on already collected data, but the data outside is just so immeasurable that you can't truly have looked at all the possibilities with our limited human cognition. So we don't have the mind of God, right? So you can be justified yet wrong, or you could be justified and right, but still, your belief could have corresponded with the fact, but your justification could have been quite wrong about it. Still, your belief is linked to the fact. So it's kind of you could be right by the virtue of coincidence. So that is the Gettier problem, and by which Hamlyn kinds of puts a space away from justification. like distances the idea of knowledge a little bit further from justification. But however, justification is still a important ground, because justification is what gives justification is the primary requirement for belief. So yeah, once again, this is okay, more like a replay cap. So belief is psychological, responsible, it may lack evidence. So knowledge is logical, it is conceptually infallible, and it knowledge is when your belief is bridged upon the real world, upon the fact, by the bridge of truth. Right? So here is the thing called logical. Okay. So this is how we can overcome the Gideon problem. So justification. Okay. When we talk about justification, it is something like personal. I mean, we could split justification into different aspects. There could be a psychological justification, or just a rationalized, there is hypothesis, but then if you want to turn that hypothesis into theory, then it should be logical. That is, at least it should be verifiable. There should be evidence, and there should be a method that your justification presents, which other people can test as well and arrive at the same conclusion. At least as far as our epistemological boundaries go, this is the this is our best reach at truth. So I believe it, but I may be wrong. Okay, it's coherent, and I know it, but I may be wrong in the conclusion. And like epistemology deals with the conceptual grammar, the formula for delineation between knowledge and belief. It's not a, it's not psychology. It's not a psychology. It's not about some kind of trying to create a literary statement, something filled with aesthetics. It's about understanding the proper difference, no matter even at the sacrifice of our own certainty of knowledge. Because at this point, when you say that justification is something that we cannot justify our claims to knowledge, you say that it's kind of gives way to the idea that whether human humanity or human inquiry can in any way get its hands on true knowledge. It is the very precept comes into doubt, because we can't justify our knowledge, isn't it? So epistemology studies rigorous conceptual grammar. It is not about psychology. It's not about wishful literature. Okay, so there are types of knowledge. So one is knowledge that it is factual. Factual knowledge, studying different it's about things. For example, Delhi is in India, or Paris is in France. So it's a proportional. It's It's the cognitive and verbalized linguistic aspect wing of knowledge. Then there is knowledge how it's practical knowledge. So we have already said that knowledge is a disposition. It's not about the it's not always about the recorded facts. It's about things that are in your instincts as well. You have encoded into your instincts. For example, practical skill-based performance driven, riding a bike. You have the instinct is something whereas you have totally internalized it in a way that it does not need to be conceptually brought up every time. Riding a bike or playing sports, knowing to fight. It's okay, and then there is the knowledge by acquaintance. So this is about direct experiential awareness of things. Okay, for example, a person who has been around dogs, who has pet dogs, right? You might know the behavior of dogs through experiential awareness that you may not necessarily have all proposition and ordered up in your mind. Still, you have you have a communion. You have a communication between human and animal. That is something we could classify under knowledge by acquaintance. So this is basically just to bring to awareness that there are different categories of knowledge, and each has a unique logical criteria, and you cannot get them mixed up because then you lose methodology. So knowledge is a logical category. It has contact with truth. So by the logical beyond justification, it's about what is it about? It's about having publicly verifiable justifications. Then knowledge is not just it's not a formula. It's something that is truth is something that is very much embedded in between the concept of knowledge. You can't try to put your finger on it. It's not like a formula. So truth is internal knowledge. Belief is a personal stance, but knowledge is at least a proposed link between the mind and the world. And epistemology studies the logic, the underlying structures of our understanding from an objective external perspective, not from the subjective as in psychology. So I guess that's it, and thank you.